Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Well, today we're going to be diving into a text that's been captivating readers for centuries.
Oh, yeah, the Kybalion, right?
That's the one. A deep dive into the world of Hermetic philosophy.
Ancient wisdom passed down from the Egyptians and Greeks. Pretty cool stuff.
Definitely cool. Now, our listeners, you've sent in some fascinating excerpts about it.
So they've probably already dipped their toes into these mystical teachings.
Exactly. And whether you're drawn to its promises of self-improvement or just plain curious about the universe.
The Kybalion just might hold the answer.
Ooh, that's a bold claim. Makes you wonder who even wrote this mysterious book, right?
Well, the Kybalion claims to contain the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus.
Hermes Trismegistus.
Yeah.
That rings a bell.
Yeah, he was a legendary figure, revered by both the ancient Egyptians and Greeks.
A master of wisdom,
Astrology.
even alchemy.
Talk about a triple threat.
The original mystic guru.
Yeah.
But if these teachings were passed down through whispers and secret societies, how did the Kybalion even come to be?
That's part of the mystery.
Oh, I love a good mystery.
The Kybalion itself claims that these teachings only reveal themselves to those who are ready to understand them.
So consider this deep dive our initiation then.
You got it.
All right, I'm ready to be initiated. Let's unlock this secret wisdom.
Let's do it.
So the Kybalion outlines 7 key principles to understanding the universe. 7 cosmic cheat codes, as I like to call them.
I like the way you think.
Ready to decode the first one?
Absolutely. Let's start with the foundation, the principle of mentalism.
Okay, mentalism. Sounds intriguing.
It boldly states, the all is mind, the universe is mental.
Whoa, okay, that's a pretty bold statement. Are we saying our thoughts literally shape our reality?
In essence, yes.
Full-on manifestation.
You got it. The Kybalion suggests that everything we experience is ultimately a mental creation.
So it's all in our heads.
Well, it's a projection of what the Kybalion calls the all, their term for the infinite ultimate reality.
Okay, that's a little out there even for me. So give me the crash course on this whole mental universe idea. How does that work exactly?
All right, imagine this. When you dream, you create an entire world within your mind, right?
True. And sometimes those dream problems feel very real.
Exactly. The Kybalion suggests that the all creates the universe in a similar way as a mental projection.
Wait, you're saying the whole universe is basically the all's dream?
It's an analogy, but you're on the right track. Of course, the mind of the all is infinitely vaster and more complex than our human minds.
That's putting it mildly.
But the principle is the same. Consciousness has the power to shape reality.
Okay, so hold on. We're connecting this back to the principle of mentalism. The Kybalion is implying that our minds are, in a way, connected to the mind of the all. Is that right?
You're getting there.
And that we have that same creative power.
That's the implication.
That's a lot to take in. Okay, so if the universe is mental, what about the second principle? How does that play into this?
Yes. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above.
Catchy. What's that all about?
It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of everything.
Okay, so, like, we're all connected. Vibes and stuff.
Well, the patterns and laws we see in our world are reflections of patterns and laws on higher planes of existence, and vice versa.
So what happens in the vast universe is reflected in our own lives.
Yeah.
Even within us.
You got it.
That's a pretty profound connection.
Think of it like fractals.
Fractals, like those trippy patterns.
Exactly. Those intricate patterns that repeat at different scales. You zoom in and you see the same pattern over and over again.
Like those mesmerizing Mandelbrot sets. They're beautiful, but man, they make my head spin a little.
Exactly. But they illustrate this principle beautifully. That same principle applies to the microcosm and the macrocosm.
Meaning?
What happens in the universe is reflected in the smallest atom, and what happens within us is reflected in the world around us.
So our inner world and the outer world, like two sides of the same cosmic coin.
You're getting it.
I'm starting to see the connections. This is blowing my mind.
And that leads us to the third principle, the principle of vibration.
Oh, okay, vibration. I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates.
Wait, so even seemingly solid objects like this table right here are actually vibrating?
On a microscopic level, absolutely. Everything is in constant motion.
Whoa. Okay, so how does this principle of vibration apply to our daily lives? What's the takeaway for our listeners?
It suggests that we are all interconnected by this web of vibrating energy, what we put out into the world.
Good vibes only, right?
In a nutshell, yes. It's about recognizing the power of our own energy and using it consciously.
I can get behind that. All right, hit me with principle number 4.
Principle number 4 is the principle of polarity.
Polarity. Like the opposite of something.
You're on the right track. It gets a little paradoxical.
Yeah.
Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites.
Okay, but. I'm sensing a but coming.
You know it. The text goes on to say, like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree.
So things that seem like total opposites are actually more similar than we think.
You got it. They're actually just two extremes on the same spectrum.
Can you give me an example? I need to wrap my head around this.
Think about hot and cold.
Okay.
They seem like total opposites, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't catch me confusing the two, that's for sure.
Right, but they're both expressions of the same thing. Temperature, they're just different degrees on the same scale.
So it's like light and dark, love and hate, even courage and fear.
Exactly. Two sides of the same coin, just different expressions of the same underlying energy.
Okay, that's kind of blowing my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
But how does understanding this principle help us in our lives?
Well, if we understand that these seemingly opposite states are actually connected, we can learn to transmute one into the other.
Hold on, are we talking alchemy here? Turning lead into gold?
Not quite.
Okay, good, because I don't have time for a side hustle in alchemy right now.
But the principle is similar. The Kybalion emphasizes mental transmutation.
Mental transmutation, go on.
So, for example, if you're feeling fear, you can shift your focus to its opposite, courage, and then gradually raise your vibration to match that state.
So if I'm, say, dreading a big presentation at work, I should just focus on feeling super brave and confident instead. Fake it till you make it.
Something like that. It takes practice, of course. But understanding the principle of polarity gives you a powerful tool to shift your mindset and ultimately your experience.
Okay, I'm all for powerful tools. What's next on our journey through the Kybalion?
Let's explore the principle of rhythm.
Rhythm, as in life having a rhythm.
Exactly. It states everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall.
You know, that one feels a little too real, like we've all experienced those natural ebbs and flows in life, right?
That's what this principle highlights. There's a rhythm to everything, a constant ebb and flow between those opposing forces we just talked about.
Like the saying, what goes up must come down.
You could put it that way. But it's about more than just physics. It applies to every aspect of life. Relationships, careers, even our own energy levels.
So those days when I feel like I can conquer the world, followed by days when I can barely get out of bed. That's all part of the natural rhythm of things.
Precisely. The key is to not get too attached to either extreme.
Easier said than done, am I right?
True. But the Kybalion suggests that by understanding the principle of rhythm, we can ride the waves of these cycles with more grace and awareness.
So it's not about fighting the natural ebb and flow, it's about learning to surf those waves. I like that.
Exactly.
But what about those times when it feels like we're stuck in a rut? Like the bad times just won't quit?
Remember, even those times are temporary. The pendulum will always swing back eventually.
That's good to hear. Okay, keep the momentum going. What's the next principle the Kybalion has in store for us?
The next principle is the principle of cause and effect.
Cause and effect. That sounds pretty straightforward.
It does, doesn't it?
Maybe even a little too common sense for a mystical text like the Kybalion. What's the deeper meaning here?
Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Simple, right?
Right.
But then it goes deeper. It explains that everything happens according to law, and that chance is but a name for a law not recognized.
Okay, so no coincidences then.
You got it.
Everything happens for a reason.
The Kybalion says there are no accidents. Everything is a result of a chain of causes and effects, even if we don't always see the connection.
So even something as small as, let's say, spilling my coffee this morning wasn't just bad luck. There was a deeper cosmic reason for it.
Perhaps. Maybe you were rushing or distracted, or the mug was chipped, or maybe, and this is where it gets really interesting, there was a whole chain of events we might not even be able to comprehend that led up to that moment.
Okay, now we're getting a little matrixy for me.
It's like the butterfly effect. What if 10 years ago, a butterfly flapped its wings in Brazil and somehow that led to you spilling your coffee this morning?
Okay, now you're messing with me. But are you saying the Kybalion was talking about chaos theory centuries ago?
Well, they didn't have the same terminology, but the underlying principle is there. The interconnectedness of everything, even seemingly insignificant actions, can have far-reaching consequences.
So, the Kybalion is telling me to be mindful of every single thing I do, because it could have ripple effects throughout the universe. No pressure.
It's more about recognizing we have agency, that our choices and actions do matter, even if we don't always see the immediate results. We're creating our reality with every thought and action.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Huh.
Okay, I need a second to process all of this, but before we do, hit me with that last principle.
The final principle is the principle of gender.
Gender.
Okay. Now, before you jump to any conclusions, the Kybalion is clear that this isn't about physical sex or societal gender roles.
Okay, good to know.
It states, gender isn't everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes.
All right, I'm listening. So what are these masculine and feminine principles really about?
Think of them as fundamental creative energies that exist in all things.
Okay.
The masculine principle is associated with action, expression, outward force. It's the driving force that initiates creation.
Okay, so far so good. And the feminine principle?
The feminine principle is about receptivity, nurturing, inward power, the force that receives and shapes that initial creative impulse.
So kind of like yin and yang.
You got it. The Kybalion is clear that both principles are essential. It's not about one being superior to the other. It's about recognizing the interplay between these two forces in all aspects of life, from the smallest atom to the universe itself.
And within ourselves, right. So we all have both masculine and feminine energies within us, regardless of our physical sex or gender identity.
Absolutely. And part of mastering the principle of gender, according to the Kybalion, is finding balance between those energies within ourselves.
Balance, that seems to be a recurring theme in all of this.
It is.
So it's not just about understanding these principles intellectually, but about actually embodying them, finding that equilibrium within ourselves and in our relationship with the world.
Exactly. It's a lifelong journey of self-discovery and transformation.
Wow. The Kybalion has given us a lot to think about, that's for sure.
It certainly has.
But before we get completely lost in the world of Hermetic philosophy, let's take a pause here. Don't go anywhere. There's much more to unpack.
All right.
Okay, so we've explored these 7 principles, these cosmic cheat codes, but the Kybalion doesn't stop there, does it?
You're right. These are really just the starting point. Now things get really interesting as we explore some of the deeper implications of this philosophy.
All right, I'm all about getting deep. Let's dive into the deep end. What else is the Kybalion hiding?
Well, remember the all.
Right, the all, that ultimate reality.
The Kybalion describes it as the source of all creation. Infinite, eternal, unchanging. It's a concept that really pushes the limits of our understanding.
Yeah, it's like, how do you even begin to imagine a universe without boundaries? It makes you realize how much is out there beyond our grasp.
Exactly, and the Kybalion kind of acknowledges that, you know? Like, it's saying we can't really ever fully grasp the essence of the all with our finite human minds.
Right, our minds can only handle so much.
Exactly, but even if we can't totally get it, we can still explore how it connects to our existence.
So we're trying to understand the mind of the universe itself.
You got it.
Daunting, but definitely exciting.
Absolutely, and that leads us to one of the most fascinating concepts in the Kybalion, the mental universe.
Oh yeah, we touched on that one earlier.
But it's such a mind-bending idea, it's worth revisiting.
Right, it's the idea that the universe is a mental creation of the all. And I gotta say, that one still has me reeling a bit.
It's a radical idea.
Yeah.
But think back to the principle of mentalism. The all is mind.
Okay.
The Kybalion is saying that the all creates the universe in its mind, much like we create those mental images in our own minds.
So are you saying the universe is basically the all's dream?
That's a great way to put it. Of course, the mind of the all is infinitely vaster and more complex than our own.
That's an understatement.
But the principle is similar. It suggests that consciousness has the power to shape reality.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get this. But if the universe is a mental creation, does that mean that it's not real? Are we all just living in a giant simulation?
That is a question that the Kybalion actually addresses directly. It acknowledges that, yeah, it can be unsettling to think of the universe as a mental projection, but it emphasizes that while it may be unreal from the perspective of the all, it's very real to us, the finite beings that are experiencing it.
So it's like real and unreal at the same time. I feel like we're going down the rabbit hole here.
Think of it like a movie. The images on the screen are just projections of light.
Okay.
But the emotions they evoke, the stories they tell, those feel very real to us as viewers, right? In the same way, the universe may be a mental projection of the all, but our experiences within it are very real to us.
Okay, that makes me feel a little less like I'm going to disappear if I stop thinking.
Yeah.
But if we can accept that the universe is a mental creation, does that mean that we can actually influence it with our own minds?
That's where the concept of mental transmutation comes in, and this is where the Kybalion gets really exciting because it offers us tools for personal transformation.
Okay, mental transmutation, tell me more.
It's essentially the art of using mental power to influence our reality. It's about consciously shifting our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions to create positive change in our lives.
So we're talking about manifestation here.
You could say that. The Kybalion describes it as a kind of alchemy, but instead of transforming physical elements, we're transforming our mental and emotional states.
Give me some examples. How does this mental transmutation stuff actually work?
It's about consciously directing our thoughts and emotions. So, for example, let's say you're feeling anxious or fearful. The Kybalion suggests that we can use techniques like positive affirmations or visualization to shift our focus to a more positive state.
So instead of dwelling on worst-case scenarios, I should be visualizing things working out in my favor.
Exactly. Or if you're struggling with a negative belief about yourself, you can consciously choose to replace it with a more empowering one.
So the Kybalion is saying we have the power to reprogram our own minds.
In a nutshell, yeah. And by transforming our inner world, we can transform our outer experience as well.
Okay, that's powerful.
It's about recognizing that we are not just passive recipients of fate, but active creators of our own reality.
I like the sound of that. But how do we start putting this into action? How do we actually use mental transmutation?
The Kybalion emphasizes understanding the other principles, especially the principle of polarity. If you can identify the negative mental state you want to transform, you can then focus your energy on its opposite, more positive pole.
So let's say if I'm feeling overwhelmed and stressed, I should shift my attention to feeling calm and grounded.
Exactly. It's not about denying or suppressing negative emotions, but about consciously choosing to focus on the positive, gradually raising your vibration to match that desired state.
This is starting to sound a lot like mindfulness. Are there any specific techniques or exercises that the Kybalion recommends?
One technique the text highlights is the power of focused attention. It suggests that by concentrating our mental energy on a desired outcome, we can increase the likelihood of it manifesting.
So if I'm really, really hoping for that promotion at work, I should visualize myself getting it, really feel those emotions of success and accomplishment.
You got it. It's about creating a clear mental image of what you want to achieve and imbuing it with that emotional energy. The Kybalion also suggests practicing gratitude, as this helps to raise our vibration and attract more positive experiences into our lives.
Okay, those are some techniques I can get behind. But what about those really stubborn negative thoughts and beliefs? The ones that keep coming back no matter how hard we try to push them away.
Yeah, the Kybalion acknowledges that mental transmutation can be challenging, especially when we're dealing with those deeply ingrained patterns. It stresses the importance of patience, persistence, and self-compassion. It also suggests seeking guidance from those who have already mastered these techniques.
So find a mentor, a teacher, maybe a wise friend who can help us on our journey.
Absolutely. The Kybalion reminds us that we don't have to go it alone. There's a long tradition of Hermetic teachers and students sharing this wisdom and supporting each other on the path to self-mastery.
It's always nice to have a little cosmic support system, right?
That sense of connection is a key part of the Hermetic tradition. It's about recognizing that we're all part of something larger than ourselves, all interconnected through the mind of the all.
This is a lot to process, but in the best way possible.
It really is a lot to unpack, but the beauty of the Kybalion is that it offers these really profound insights in a way that feels accessible and empowering.
It is empowering, and I'm feeling a lot more connected to this idea of a universal consciousness than I was before.
That's great to hear.
But before we get too cosmic, let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. Wow, the Kybalion really has given us a lot to think about. It's like we took a crash course in understanding reality.
It definitely challenges us to see the universe and ourselves a little differently.
It does. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Kybalion, what's one key takeaway that really resonated with you?
Ooh, there's so many. But one question from the Kybalion that really stuck with me is, if the universe is mental, what does that mean for the choices we make each day?
That's a great question. It brings us back to that idea that our thoughts shape our reality, right?
Yes. If we can really grasp the idea that the universe is a mental creation, then our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, they all hold immense power in shaping our experiences.
So it's not enough to just understand these Hermetic principles.
Yeah.
We have to actually apply them in our lives, use them as tools to create the life we want.
Yes. The Kybalion is a call to action.
I love that.
It's about stepping into the role of conscious creators of our reality.
Instead of feeling powerless, we actually have agency. We can choose our thoughts and influence our reality.
Exactly, and that's such a powerful message, especially today when things feel so chaotic. We're all searching for meaning, for purpose, and for a sense of control over our lives.
Absolutely. And the Kybalion gives us a framework to navigate that chaos, reminding us that there's an order to the universe, that we are all interconnected, and that we have that power to influence our experiences.
It reminds us that we're not alone, we're part of something so much greater than ourselves.
It's a beautiful thought, and empowering, too.
It is. That's the beauty of the Kybalion. It's full of this ancient wisdom, but it's still so relevant to our lives today. It's a journey of self-discovery, and it's a journey we can start right now.
Well said. And I think that's a good place to wrap up our deep dive into the Kybalion. But before we go, I want to encourage everyone listening to explore this text for yourselves. Read it. Think about it. Maybe discuss it with a friend. You might just be surprised at what you discover. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep seeking and keep questioning and keep diving deep into the mysteries of the universe and yourselves.